Yes, indeed. Welcome, welcome, world. We are here together in one room, yet we are all around the world. Shout out to all the global citizens. Shout out to all the musicians. And big thanks to NGO Radio Terra for having us and hosting us on their YouTube channel. We are free lessons for all ages and all levels. I'm here every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is a project that is, like I said, just focused on all the good people who want to get into free lessons and who want to learn something about music each week. We invite you to come study with us, and that's what this is all about. It's really fun. It's also kind of a challenge for us because it is a mixed lesson, being that there's information for, say, beginners and for advanced musicians. So we always try and meet somewhere in the middle. But if you do have questions or you feel like we're going too fast, please feel free to type something in the comments and or email me at ecussionist@gmail.com. That's ECUSSIONIST@gmail.com. And I'll get right back to you. Thank you for being here. Actually, also a big shout out to our sponsors, Tamboro Drums, Roland Corporation, NGO Radio Terra, Proel, and Sensory Percussion. Thank you guys for being here with us. Anyways, today I want to get into one of the funkiest grooves ever. This is Sissy Strut by Zigaboo Modeliste. And this actually is a big part of my inspiration to become a drummer. This is one of the first songs that I really decided to get the drum pattern nailed down for, transcribe it out and write it out and listen to it and obsess over it, all that. So this has a very important rhythmic property to it, and that is the second line, all right? Second line drumming comes from New Orleans, as does pretty much the history be the epicenter, right? New Orleans is the epicenter, or at least one of them, in the United States for Black American music, Black American classical music. Some people call it jazz, some people call it all sorts of names, but this is a very important piece of history that you guys know, is that New Orleans is the birthplace of this Black American music, and coming out of this place is a plethora of different musical styles. The second line, and there's people who have far more historical knowledge on it than I do, but the second line rhythm means a rhythm that was played during a funeral procession, and those drummers were in the second line. At least that's the way the history has been orally brought down to me. But they don't just play second lines at funerals. Second line is a rhythmic expression, just like bounce or swing or house music or whatever. It's another rhythm, it's another pattern, and it goes a little something like this. So it is a pattern, right? There's a couple of ways that you can approach the second line. So you could play or okay, so you can put the clave in the foot, right? Or you can even kind of do like a samba hegi thing to it. So. And then if you decide that you want to mix all those patterns up and not play them linearly, in other words, not repeat them, but sort of phrase them at will, improvise with it, and come up with a concoction, if you will. I didn't want to say gumbo because I thought that'd be corny, but a concoction of rhythms, then we start to hear the foundations of swing, right? The foundations of jazz. Now, that's if I'm playing all the beats, and I'm being also very demonstrative in terms of showing you those different patterns and trying to make sure that I demonstrate them all within this one improvisation. I might not play it like that live with an actual band, right? But if I sort of take my right hand away from the snare drum and play a swing pattern, and I play those same second line ideas in my feet and my left hand, you'll start to hear the swing genre emerge. So I think you can start to hear it, right? The language is starting to emerge. All right, now let me make my left hand and my right foot not as busy. So let's just say I slice 50% of all that rhythmic information out. I'm still going to keep my right hand swinging, and I'm still going to play 2 and 4 on my left foot. Let's see what happens. I think this is going to be a bit more of the way I possibly could be approaching it in a jam session or in a recording session or on a gig. Right? So again, it's really just So that's in a nutshell, in a very short amount of time, kind of showing you why second line is so important, how it connects to jazz, and now I'm going to show you how it connects to the funk. Okay, so fast forward into the 70s. There comes a time when a band emerges, and they are called the Funky Meters, or just the Meters. And we're going to go ahead and put that there. I'm not sure if this was the original album cover, but I found another one that I've seen before. This is the album cover that I grew up looking at. Right? So, this is going to be Sissy Strut from the Meters, and I'm going to show you how the second line rhythm applies to it. All right? I wish that I could play you the melody for Sissy Strut, because it would give you a great idea as to what I'm playing on the drums. But go check it out, YouTube it, Apple Music it, Tidal it, whatever you listen on, and you'll hear what I'm talking about. This rhythm, or this beat, happens in two parts. There's an A section and a B section. And I'm going to break them down for you at a bit slower of a tempo, and then we'll speed it up. Here's the A section. All right, that's the A section. The B section, all right, is okay. So I'm going to put them both together now. It's B section. All right. Also, the snare sound really matters, but we'll get into the sound of all of it later. Let me slow this down for you. Here's the A section. Right? A little slower. All right, now the B section at that same tempo. Okay, so the second half of this beat is a direct insight into the second line, right? We can hear that. The giveaway is also that the right hand goes to the snare. I just watched a video of Ziggy doing it, I believe Zigaboo must have been a lefty because I see Ziggy's left hand going over to the hi-hat. Right? So, and I don't know why drummers always do that, by the way. Maybe it's a punctuation thing. We've got to have the last word. But that's the second line part of it. I mean, it's inherent in the whole beat, right? Because there's also the A section, right? That's the crux of the whole beat. If I put my right hand on the snare, it'd be... right? So you can hear how we can interpret this full second line or full funk, and it's still going to give you that New Orleans thing. So let's play it at a regular tempo, and this time I'll just groove on it for a while. And I'll also put the goat on the screen. Thank you, Zigaboo, for these incredible grooves. This one right here will make your whole drumming funkier if you really check him out and really check out New Orleans drumming. I guarantee the level of funk that your playing sits at today, if this is the first time you've ever heard it, or if you decide you're going to start shedding this, will not be the same next week when you've got this groove under your belt a little bit more. The meters are the truth. Check them out. Take a little sip before I take a dip. A dip into this funk, of course. Got it. So it's all about the... It's all about that hi-hat foot back and forth thing, as well as how funky is this? When you go to that B section, when your hands are on the snare drum, you tap into that second line. It's just what it is. So it's just crazy funky. So let's listen to what it would sound like with some different snare sounds. I think that this snare sound reflects the original recording sound the best because it's high pitched, but it's also ringy. This is what it sounds like if I dampen it a little bit with some masking tape. B section. Right, so you can hear totally different vibe. Let's try a different snare on it. For educational purposes only. So yes, we have a couple different snare sounds, but I kind of like the cranked up snare. So let's go back to that one. Real quick shout out, Tamburo drums. This piece right here is an amazing piece of musical instrumental precision. This is made in Italy. This is the Opera, and check them out, Tamburo drums. I've had this drum since I was 15 years old. This drum right here is from a company that doesn't exist anymore. They were called Tribes Drums out of Boulder, Colorado. All right, so we're back with the crack and the crack and snare, that is. And here we go. One more thing is that these second line rhythms are also very, very close to Caribbean and African rhythms. Afro-Caribbean rhythms and second line / New Orleans drumming and music are like this. They are more than cousins. I believe they're more like sisters and brothers and siblings, right? So think about that. When you hear this in Afro beats or zouk or compa, or kizomba, come on, right? Right? You hearing it? And right? So we start to see some of the similarities between the Brazilian stuff, the samba stuff, the second line stuff, the funk stuff, the swing stuff, right? All of this is inside the second line. Right? So, listen, I can continue to play this groove literally all day. I would suggest that you guys get your ears on this recording as soon as possible. Enjoy the funk of Sissy Strut by the Meters, the glorious and funky Meters. And I will be with you next week, same time, same place, same face. You know what it is. It is Ecussionist, aka Matt Vorsmer, bringing you free lessons for all ages and all levels every single week. Big shout out to NGO Radio Terra for having me, and all of the sponsors, Tamboro Drums, Roland Corporation, Sensory Percussion, Proel. Thank you guys so much. Peace and blessings all around the world. Take care of each other. It's crazy out here. Peace and blessings forever. Shout out Zigaboo Model East.